Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to another review. And this review has been a long time coming. This film is a sequel to a much loved and well praised film that came out in 2019, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Of course, I'm talking about The Joker. And, that film did extremely well, better than I think even DC, Warner Brothers, anybody anticipated it to do. It did that well that it even earned Joaquin Phoenix a Best Actor Oscar, and well deserved. Now, of course, when you get a movie that makes $1 billion at the box office, and when you get a movie that has been, critically praised and has, been given so much accolade, that, of course, the minds and the head offices of Warner Brothers and DC and anybody involved instantly goes sequel. Well, the way the original Joker was set out, it was set out to simply be a one and done. It was an origin story of the man Arthur Fleck, who would then become the Joker, the nemesis to Batman. And how that film was presented was wonderfully. You had a man who had psychological issues, who had, had been abused by, his mother, and who also had mental health issues. And then you have Arthur Fleck, who has these two dual personalities. And, in the end, tragedy struck and the events transpired, and he was sent off to Arkham Asylum. And the way it ended, for me, it was the perfect ending. You seen him basically accept this darker personality of his that he had been battling throughout the first film. And now, because he had accepted it and accepted everything that went on, when he's in Arkham Asylum, you can tell he's heading towards becoming the Joker. And there you go. End the movie, and quite happy with it. Here we are now in 2024, and we are now getting a sequel. And the sequel we are getting is, of course, Joker Folie, Deux, which, when it was first announced, everyone was excited. Like anything, especially when you've had a film when it's so successful, had me reservations. Then I heard that it was going to be a musical straight away. I'm not a fan of musicals. And I was like, no. How the hell are they going to pull this off? It's either going to be super cool, super creative, super inventive by mixing this dark-toned world of Gotham and the Joker mixed in with these really outlandish, crazy, but creative musical numbers that are going to enhance the story that they're about to tell on screen, which will give you a bigger emphasis into the mind of the Joker or Arthur Fleck. Is that what we got? Nope, I don't believe it is. So, to carry on with talking about this, let me get into Joker Folie, Deux. So Joker Folie, Deux is a 2024 American jukebox musical psychological thriller film directed by Todd Philips from a screenplay he co-wrote with Scott Silver. Loosely based on the DC Comics characters, it is a sequel to Joker. Joaquin Phoenix reprises his role as the Joker with Lady Gaga as his love interest, Lee Quinzel. Zazie Beetz and Lee Gill also reprise their roles, while Brendan Gleeson, Kathleen Keener, Stephen Coogan, and Harry Lawtrey join the cast. It is produced by Warner Brother Pictures in association with Joint Effort and was distributed by Warner Brother Pictures. So basically, this film, I'm not going to go into too much detail of the plot. This film's been out now for quite some time. And the reason I'm just getting to do this review now is because when the bad reviews came and I heard the negativeness of the movie, I was all for going to see it in theatres. But because of the negativity, when I get a film that I then get a 50-50 vibe of, I tend to wait till it's on streaming, because I feel if I'm gonna go into that film and I'm gonna generally come out frustrated or hate it, then I'm not gonna go see it. Or it could go the opposite road. I could go in and absolutely love it, but something in the back of my mind said wait till it comes out on streaming, and so here we are. So the film is split into two halves. It's set 2 years after the events of the first one. Basically, Arthur Fleck is now in Arkham Asylum. He is waiting to go to trial, and he then, he's being very much picked on and having the piss taken out of him by the guards, the prison guards. Other prisoners are insane and loopy as him. He, has these dueling personalities. There is the real Arthur Fleck somewhere in there, and then you have this dark persona that is also there trying to break out, which is of course the Joker personality. And so that's basically the first half of the movie, him in this Arkham Asylum waiting to go to trial, talking to his therapist, talking to interviewers, doing all this, his attorneys, all of this, preparing for the trial in Arkham Asylum, while also going to these set up music therapy sessions in Arkham, where he meets Lee Quinzel, who was played by Harlequin. And, she instantly takes an attraction to him. He's instantly got an attraction to her. They bond, they gel, they basically get together, and that is the romantic element. And it's through his now newfound romance with Harlequin that these dueling personalities of who Arthur Fleck is and who this Joker person come out full burst, and that's when you see the musical elements. The musical elements are him expressing himself, or the musical element are him just basically allowing himself to be free. And you see different elements of the Joker and the Arthur Fleck personalities clashing. And then in the middle, you've got who is enhancing this, all is Lady Gaga with her amazing voice. Because you can't, she's a global superstar, amazing voice, amazing talented singer, and that's basically what she's there. She's like the imprint of what goes on within the musical elements. The second half of the movie is basically the trial and him trying to, his attorney's trying to say this, he has this condition, this disorder with these two personalities, and she's battling to try and, say he's not well, he's not a well man, he's not in total control of, if he's thought he doesn't have capacity, he's a mixture of these dueling personalities. And then obviously the other side, which is Harvey Dent is in this. He is then just all out. He's just knew what he was doing. He's a crazy man, and we need to throw the book at him, basically. And that is basically the first and the second half of this movie. Now let's get on to the itty bitty, the positives and the negatives. So the positives is this film's cinematography looks absolutely brilliant. You can tell they've hired as much money at this movie for its look. It looks fantastic. the look of it, the camera angles, the costuming, the lighting. There's elements where he's standing there and the light shines on him when he's off a flick, and then you've got the spotlight element where he's doing the music elements, and it's brilliant. Joaquin Phoenix also is fantastic, still as Arthur Fleck, but he also is more demure in this. He's not, I found his performance as Arthur Fleck a lot different in this one than it was in the previous movie. In the previous movie, you got to see him build up till he finally let loose and became the Joker. Character started releasing itself. In this one, he's like a shell of himself in prison. And when he meets Lee Quinzel, he then starts to open up and start to, more of the Arthur Fleck starts to come out. As for Harlequin, for me, when she was first announced, there was all this buzz about her coming in and being this new version of Harlequin, maybe potentially heading towards an Oscar performance because of, her being in this. But I think very much she was just brought in because of the voice. The character of Harlequin that they gave in this movie, there's nothing much to play with in it, which is probably a negative. She can sing her heart out. She doesn't really do anything to enhance the story. It turns out basically she's like a super fan of Joker, not Arthur Fleck. So there's like this dueling thing going on with her, Arthur, and the personality, the Joker as well, which for me doesn't really add anything. It was just a bit all over the place. Apart from the performances and the cinematography and the amazing lighting and costuming and cinematography, everything else, I'm afraid, for me, was let down and it was a disappointment. This is a film that is in two halves, like I said, Arkham Asylum and The Trail, and it did nothing really much to enhance what we had already seen in the first film. We knew the story of him, having, I've mentioned before about his, mental health and these two personalities, the abuse he put up with. It basically just goes back to everything that we learned from the first one. It doesn't really add anything more to the story. It's all really kind of rehashed throughout the course of this film. And the music elements, which are there to try and enhance the, him and his mental state. For me, it's more of a distraction than it does to add anything to the story. And that is what musicals are. Musicals have a story. They have musical numbers in them to enhance the story that's being told throughout the movie. The Little Mermaid, her story, her journey, and every song, the wording, the music matches the tone and the story being told on screen. The musical elements in this make no sense. They just make no sense. I don't even know why they're in here. If they were going to do a Joker sequel, it should have been a straight up sequel to the Joker, where it enhances him even turning darker, getting more evil, and really just let loose and becoming the crazy person that the Joker is. Not another conflicting of personality story that we had in the first one. It, for me, and that's what this is, it just does not work as a musical. I said when I watched the trailer, I said I think we're in good hands, and I think we could be in for another amazing masterpiece of a movie. And I can honestly say I've been totally let down by this. I think Todd Phillips, I think he's a great writer. He's a great director. He has great vision. And I don't 100% believe how this film has turned out is all his fault. I think there have been other elements in play to make this film become the film it is. And that for me is very upsetting. Lady Gaga, she's nothing on Margaret Robbie's Harlequin. She's more of a side character. She doesn't do anything to enhance the story. Her and Arthur Fleck's relationship, it happens that fast that for me, it's very unbelievable. And it didn't really hit the mark. Like, I know in the original animated series where Harlequin made her debut in Batman the Animated Series way back in 1992, she was the Joker's therapist and falls in love with him and kind of becomes obsessed with him and then becomes his henchman. I think even they should have done that in this, but enhanced it, and then the music elements with might have worked better. The fact that they're just there and they just come out of nowhere and they just do not make sense. It's a huge distraction to the film. And the film itself just is one of them sequels that did not have to happen. Joker as it was is a masterpiece from the 2019 one is a masterpiece. It deserves to just be what it is and stay on its own. This has put a total stink on it, as far as I'm concerned. It should not have been made. And there are other people that will defend this movie. There are other people who will like this movie and they'll be like, well, you didn't understand what they were doing. You didn't get it. I understood what they were trying to do. I know what the music elements were there to represent. I just don't think it works. It does not work for me. And that's just my honest personal opinion. Joaquin Phoenix does his best when it comes to the music element. I guess that's another positive. He can sing. He does, you can tell he's having a lot of fun with it. Lady Gaga's having a lot of fun doing what she does best. But unfortunately, them elements just take away from the film itself. And as for the story, I still, to this kind of, couple of days after watching this, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell the story is, apart from being a kind of recap movie from the first film. It's a recap movie that goes into the prison, that then goes into his trial, and then ends in a ridiculous way. The ending is completely pointless. They take you on this journey of that does not make sense to then it ending with a ridiculous ending, and it makes you just think, why did I sit for 2 and a bit hours for that? Why did I sit down for 2 hours and watch a film that's got a crazy all over the place plot for that ending? That's just my opinion. I do understand what they were trying to do with that. I think they were trying to show that the Joker isn't a person, but it's an idea. The idea of that dark personality and all of that, it's an idea that can happen. It's not just one person. But for me, it didn't work. Didn't work. So because of all of that, there's nothing really much I can say. There's only a handful of positives for me. Like I said, cinematography. Joaquin Phoenix is still amazing. Lady Gaga was great at singing in this, but her version of Harlequin just didn't do anything in this film. She's just a fangirl at the end of the day in this for me. And everything else is a negative. So because of that, I'm going to have to rate Joker Folie de Deux, unfortunately, just 6 out of 10. And I could have dropped it lower, but I think 6 out of 10 is a fair rating. I just think it's a pointless sequel that didn't have to be made. And I think Warner Brothers and DC, because it made $1 billion the first Joker, they were that, happy that they just rushed out a sequel. And that's fine. Make a sequel. We're going to the mind of Arthur Fleck in Arkham Asylum. Take her through his trial. Make it at the end of that trial in this really horrendous, the psychotic Joker we all know and love. But that's not what they did. They had to try and think out of the box and do something different and try and twist it and make it original with all these messages and all this stuff, but it just doesn't work. Barbie, which I've seen once, was fun, right? I liked that movie. I understood what they were trying to do in that movie. They had a singing element with Ken, but that worked. But in Joker Folie de Deux does not work. That's just my opinion of the Joker Folie de Deux. What's your opinion of Folie de Deux? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. But like I always say, keep loving your movies, keep loving all things entertainment, and I'll catch us all at the next one.